Hey, good morning, everybody. It is March 17th, 2022, an important day as it is my eldest daughter Michelle's birthday. I think she's finally reached an age where I shouldn't talk about her age. We're going to begin our reading this morning in Ruth chapter 1. We're going to read all of Ruth today, all four chapters. We'll be reading out of the Legacy Standard Bible. If you'd like to read along, hi, John. Good afternoon. If you'd like to read along and don't have your own copy, simply open up a second window on your computer. Go to read.lsbible.org, read.lsbible.org, and click in the type Ruth 1 in the search window. Click the button and it will take you right there. When you get to the end of the chapter, just click on the right arrow and it'll take you over to chapter 2. Eunice, good afternoon. Patrick, good morning. Roxy is in her place. We're finally there. Short sleeve weather. Although we actually have a chance of snow on Friday, but that'll be short lived. Robin, good afternoon. The international presence is well represented. We got Hungary, Nigeria, the Netherlands. Nap one. Yes, it is time for nap one. It is nap number one. Yes. All Roxy. Bill, good morning. Yes. Happy St. Patrick's Day. It is Michelle's birthday. Born on St. Patrick's Day. My eldest daughter. Big John, good morning. Oh, really? The brother who popped in, was it yesterday or the day before yesterday? Yep. Show your eyes open. Show your eyes open. So I got totally skunked yesterday morning fishing. Went to two different lakes. Not a bite. It was a gorgeous day for fishing. The first lake, I was the only one there. Second lake, I was the only one on the shore. There were several boats out on the water. But did not catch a thing. I might try again later this afternoon. I might take the kayak out. I might. Thinking about it. But also hoping to take one of the young men from the church out to lunch today for his birthday. Waiting to hear back from his folks. David, good morning. Wow, interesting. So your family tree's kind of like mine, Bill. More like a family shrub. Oh, I like it a lot. I like the LSB uh, a great deal. I love that the LSB uses the proper name for God when appropriate. I love that the LSB uh, rightly translates the Greek word doulos to slave instead of bond slave or bond servant, but calls it as it is. And the NASB has always been my favorite translation, and the LSB is basically an update of the NASB. So, yeah, yep, I like it a lot. I don't. Our church is presently using the ESV, which is a fine translation too. But I'm hoping that our church will eventually switch to the LSB. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Good morning, Maria. Yes, we did, and they opened it last night at church, and we were all very grateful for that. To both you and Jimmy, thank you, Maria. Morning, Kathy. Hang on. There we go. All right. Yeah, they all read a little bit. They all read a little bit different. It is probably still held that the NASB reads the most wooden is the term. In other words, the ESV tries to clean up some of the word order, um, but the NASB, probably of any translation, holds as close to the original word order in sentences than the other translations. And that at times can make the NASB a little more difficult to read than the ESV and the New King James. Um, but yeah, yeah, Maria, mail is funny here in Iowa. Uh, Someone could send something from California, for instance, and they could get here in a couple of days or in a couple of weeks. It's just, I don't know what it is about the Iowa mail system, but it's kind of hit and miss as to how long it takes for things to get there. And she was asking about the card. I told her that the kids opened it last night.
Yeah, we've had it for a couple of days. It was
Okay.
just our first chance
Oh.
to give it to them.
Yeah.
was last night.
Yeah. So the first, yeah, okay. So yeah, my Maria is helpful here. We did get the card a couple of days ago, but last night at church was our first opportunity to give it to them. That's the first time we've seen them since the card arrived. So, morning, Dana. Yeah, Freddie Freeman's going to the Dodgers. Yeah. So we're baseball fans here, in spite of the fact that in spite of the fact that baseball has gone full LGBTQ, full woke, full social justice, full drop a knee, full nonsense, and despite the fact that baseball's loyalty to fans is non-existent, despite the fact that players' loyalty to teams is non-existent, despite the fact that it's not the game that it was in the 50s, 60s, 70s. Despite the fact that they've committed baseball blasphemy by making the designated hitter universal. um, we still believe that baseball is the greatest sport ever invented. That being said, uh, the ladies in our family are pretty serious Dodger fans. I am a Dodger fan, but I am more of a baseball fan. I'm more of a player. I'm more of a player fan, and because again, the business of baseball has so um, dirtied the game. Muddied, dirt. No, not dirt. Muddied, dirtied. In some ways, almost ruined the game. So, anyways, all of that to say that the Dodgers signed a deal with Freddie Freeman, who was the first baseman for the Braves, and not only an outstanding player, but seems to be an all-around good guy as well. He's now a Dodger. So there are various levels of excitement in the home right now over that. With, I think, Maria's being the highest level of it. Yeah, Amanda has no idea. Amanda has no idea who he is because he's never been in a Disney movie. So.
Oh, stop. Oh, that's a bit extreme.
I'll probably pay for that later. Oh boy, Kansas City Royals. Have they had a team since the years of George Brett? Have they had a team? Have they had a team since then? I don't know.
You're more than just a Dodger fan. I don't know as much about baseball as you do, but I do know something about baseball.
Dana said, honey, my sister-in-law took me to my first baseball game last year, but I don't remember who played. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, Bill, the DH is now universal. Yes. National League now has a DH. That's just disgusting. That's just disgusting. Well, no. Still, baseball's the greatest sport, and I don't know if it is full on as liberal and woke as the NFL and the NBA, but look, sin permeates every aspect of society, right? And the gross sins, all are gross in their own right, but you know what I mean. The more demonstrably gross sins of our day have permeated all of sports. Sexual immorality in sport goes back to the Greeks, folks, and hasn't changed a bit. So. Dana talking about the game she went to, her first game ever. Lots of screaming, lots of long pauses, lots of popcorn. I think that's a great way to describe the game. The game of baseball has been referred to as a pastoral game that allows for reflection. While during the 38 minutes it takes for the pitcher to decide what he's going to throw, and for the hitter to adjust his various straps and scratch in various places and do his routine. So it gives you a lot of time to talk. You can pretty much read Bible commentaries between plays during a baseball game. That is true. Oh, another thing that baseball did is they made the bases bigger. They've enlarged the bases. I don't know if baseball players are generally near or far-sighted now or something, or they can't find those big white squares in the red dirt. I don't know. But yeah, so Maria's about to be banned. Not my Maria, but Maria in the chat room. She's close to at least being put on a timeout. close to being put on a timeout because it's that time of year where you know how rude Yankee fans are. It's getting to be about that time of year where Maria, yeah, my Maria says, is Maria talking Yankee smack? Oh, no, that's about as demonstrative as my Maria is going to get in a public discourse, anyways. Because you hit a nerve. You hit a nerve. You meant the Yankees. There's gee, I don't know what, Maria. What do you dislike more than the Yankees?
Well, actually,
Tetanus shots.
I can think of a lot of things I like this morning.
What's the first thing that comes to mind that you dislike more than the Yankees? What's the first thing? Word association. What's the first thing that comes to mind?
I can't say.
Why can't you say? Is it dirty?
No, it would be no.
Okay, then tell me the second thing then. Wow. Tell me the second thing that comes to mind.
Can't share that one.
You can't share the second one either? So the first two things that come to mind that Maria hates more than the Yankees, she cannot say publicly. Ah.
So, Maria should rest assured at least the Yankees or a Yankee fan is not at the top of my list.
What's that?
I said Maria can rest assured at least the Yankees or a Yankee fan
Oh.
is not at the top.
So Maria in the chat, my Maria says, at least Maria can rest assured that Yankees and Yankee fans are not at the top of my list of things that she hates. Dana says, such a sweet woman dissing Yankees.
I wouldn't use the word hate.
Ah.
I wouldn't use the word hate.
Maria wouldn't use the word hate because, you know, she's one of those biblical people that knows that hatred is murder of the heart. So, so she wouldn't use the word hate. She would use disdain with a disdain that can only be curtailed through electric shock therapy. All right. Okay. Hey, it's getting late. We've talked enough baseball for crying out loud. I do want to share with you what happened yesterday. A couple of neat things happened yesterday while I was out on the street. So I don't know if the Cardinals have the most World Series. They might. National League team with the most World Series. Could be the Cardinals. Could be the Cardinals. Yankees, of course, have the most World Series wins because they were winning at a time when there were only two teams in the league. So, but anyways, so around these parts, the predominant baseball teams, of course, are the Cubs, just 3 hours away. The Brewers and the Cardinals are seem to be the three favorite teams in Iowa. Iowa has no professional sports. The closest we have to why did we move here? That's a long story. The closest we come to a professional sports team here in Iowa are the Iowa Hawkeyes football team. I mean, Hawkeyes gear is everywhere. So Amanda took me to a Hawkeyes football game before her senior year there at the University of Iowa. She took me there as a special gift, and of course the game she took me to was against Penn State, which is my favorite football team. So I'm like a college team. So I'm like one guy wearing the blue and white of Penn State, surrounded by the black and gold of Hawkeye Nation. But I also brought a Hawkeye hat too. So when Penn State was scoring, I was wearing Penn State. When Hawkeyes were scoring, I was wearing Hawkeye gear. And that way, me and my daughter got out of the stadium alive. So Yes. Yes, we have been to Dyersville and to the Field of Dreams. That is neat. We went though when the corn had already been harvested, so the corn wasn't up. What?
It hadn't grown tall
Oh,
enough.
it had.
Around Father's Day.
It was Father's Day, so it was just
Around Father's
the corn was short. It wasn't that it had been harvested yet. It was just short. So we'd like to go there, like they would go again. But they've kind of ruined it. They've built another baseball stadium there. And I guess they're going to have annual games there, but it's impossible to get tickets. And I don't know. I think they want you to be vaccinated for COVID and strep throat and beriberi or something like that to get into the stadium. So we won't be going. All right. Hey, let's settle down. Let's read the Bible.
Yeah, I'm wondering when you were planning on it.
I'm planning on doing that if you'll stop heckling me from the dining room, my love.
Not exactly what it is.
I was hoping Michelle would be here this morning because today is Michelle's birthday, and so wish a happy birthday to my eldest daughter, who I now believe has reached an age where it would be inappropriate for me to mention her age.
I think so.
My wife and I are now the parents of old people.
Yeah, it would be inappropriate menstruation, then at least that's feel.
Well,
Some of us feel even older.
Well,
Okay,
it may make one of us feel older. I embrace my elderliness. All right. Hey, well, this has been fun. It's been fun just goofing off with you guys for a little bit. That's nice. But let's read Ruth. I want to read all of Ruth today, and that will not take us long at all. Just four short chapters. How old are my kids? Well, so let me put it this way: the second oldest is 32. The third oldest is 27. Which means the eldest is older than them both. So I did the math right. I even know their birthdays and birth years. She'll be 33 this year. Middle will be 33 this year. 89 to 22 is 33. She'll be 33 this year. And Amanda will be 28. Wow. You guys, we got to read the Bible today. Okay? People are going to start talking. They're going to start talking.
Okay, get to it.
Okay, so Maria, I want you to stop heckling me from the kitchen and the dining room. We're going to pray now. You know how hard it is to be a street evangelist and be out on the streets all day long and get heckled out on the streets and then come home and get heckled by your wife. You know how hard that is. She's in there saying, rabbit trail, rabbit trail. Did David get here? Yay! Happy birthday, David. Bill's brother, David, shares Michelle's birthday. Another Shamrockian. So Maria just announced she's going to be 71 in 12 years. I'm just being nice. No, she's turning 71. She's announced it to the world. Now she's pointing at me with cereal bowls from the kitchen. It's getting serious with the cereal bowls. All right. Let's quiet our hearts and our minds and our fingertips. And begin our time in a word of prayer. We'll read Ruth, and then I'll share with you briefly what happened yesterday out on the streets. Let's pray. Father, thank you for laughter. Thank you that we can kid around with each other and make each other laugh and enjoy one another's company. Thank you, Father, that your body The bride of Christ is indeed a family, and we can enjoy one another's company as such. Father, but we are here to read your word this morning. So quiet our hearts and our minds, Father, as we now open your word, as we read this wonderful story of Ruth. Father, that you would bless the reading of your word. Lord, that we would see not only Ruth's faithfulness, Father, but your faithfulness, Lord, and that we would rejoice and be glad in the faithfulness of our God. And we are thankful that you have given us your word, Father, so that we can indeed see your faithfulness throughout the pages. We love you, Father, and we praise you in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Ruth chapter 1, God's word tells us this. Now it happened in the days when the judges judged that there was a famine in the land. And a certain man of Bethlehem in Judah went to sojourn in the fields of Moab with his wife and his 2 sons. The name of the man was Elimelech, and the name of his wife Naomi, and the names of his 2 sons was Mahlon and Chilion, Ephrathites of Bethlehem in Judah. Now they came to the fields of Moab and remained there. Then Elimelech, Naomi's husband, died, and she was left with her 2 sons. They took for themselves Moabite women as wives. The name of the one was Orpah, and the name of the other Ruth, and they lived there about 10 years. Then both Mahlon and Chilion also died, and the woman was left with her 2 children, without her 2 children and her husband. Then she arose with her daughters-in-law and returned from the fields of Moab, for she had heard in the fields of Moab that Yahweh had visited his people to give them food. So she went forth from the place where she was, and her 2 daughters-in-law with her, and they went on the way to return to the land of Judah. And Naomi said to her daughters-in-law, "Go, return each of you to her mother's house. May Yahweh show loving kindness with you, as you have shown with the dead and with me. May Yahweh grant that you may find rest, each in the house of her husband." Then she kissed them, and they lifted up their voices and wept. And they said to her, "No, but we will return with you to your people." But Naomi said, "Return, my daughters. Why should you go with me? Have I yet sons in my womb, that they may be your husbands? Return, my daughters. Go, for I am too old to have a husband. If I said I have hope, if I should even have a husband tonight and also bear sons, would you therefore wait until they were grown? Would you therefore refrain from marrying? No, my daughters, for it is more bitter for me than for you. The hand of Yahweh has gone forth against me." And they lifted up their voices and wept again, and Orpah kissed her mother-in-law, but Ruth clung to her. Then she said, "Behold, your sister-in-law has returned to her people and her gods. Return after your sister-in-law." But Ruth said, "Do not press me to forsake you in turning back from following you. For where you go, I will go, and where you lodge, I will lodge. Your people shall be my people, and your God, my God. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. Thus may Yahweh do to me and more, if anything but death separates you and me." So she saw that she was determined to go with her, and she said no more to her. Then they both went until they came to Bethlehem. Now it happened when they had come to Bethlehem, all the city was stirred because of them. And the women said, "Is this Naomi?" She said to them, "Do not call me Naomi, call me Mara, for the Almighty has dealt very bitterly with me. I went out full, but Yahweh has caused me to return empty. Why do you call me Naomi? Yahweh has answered against me, and the Almighty has brought calamity against me." So Naomi returned, and with her Ruth the Moabitess, her daughter-in-law, who returned from the fields of Moab. Now they came to Bethlehem at the beginning of barley harvest. Chapter 2. Now Naomi had a kinsman of her husband, a mighty man of excellence of the family of Elimelech, whose name was Boaz. And Ruth the Moabitess said to Naomi, "Please let me go to the field and glean among the ears of grain after one whom I may find favor in his eyes." And she said to her, "Go, my daughter." So she went. She came and gleaned in the field after the reapers. And it so happened that she happened to come to the portion of the field belonging to Boaz, who was of the family of Elimelech. Now behold, Boaz came from Bethlehem and said to the reapers, May Yahweh be with you. And they said to him, May Yahweh bless you. Then Boaz said to the young man who was in charge of the reapers, Whose young woman is this? The young man in charge of the reapers replied, She is the young Moabite woman who returned with Naomi from the fields of Moab. And she said, Please let me glean and gather after the reapers among the sheaves. Thus she came and has remained from the morning until now. She has been sitting in the house for a little while. Then Boaz said to Ruth, Have you not heard, my daughter? Do not go to glean in another field. Furthermore, do not go on from this one, but stay here with my young women. Let your eyes be on the field which they reap, and go after them. Indeed, I have commanded the young men not to touch you. And if you are thirsty, go to the water jars and drink from what the young men draw. Then she fell on her face, bowing to the ground, and said to him, Why have I found favor in your sight that you should take notice of me, though I am a foreigner? Boaz replied to her, All that you have done for your mother-in-law after the death of your husband has been fully told to me, and how you forsook your father and your mother and the land of your birth and came to a people that you did not previously know. May Yahweh fully repay your work, and may your wages be full from Yahweh, the God of Israel, under whose wings you have come to seek refuge. Then she said, May I find favor in your eyes, my Lord, for you have comforted me, and indeed have spoken to the heart of your servant woman, though I am not like one of your servant women. At mealtime, Boaz said to her, Come here, that you may eat of the bread and dip your piece of bread in the vinegar. So she sat beside the reapers, and he served her roasted grain, and she ate and was satisfied and had some left. Then she rose to glean, and Boaz commanded to his young men, saying, Let her glean even among the sheaves, and do not dishonor her. Also, you shall purposely pull out for her some grain from the bundles, and leave it, that she may glean, and do not rebuke her. So she gleaned in the field until evening. Then she beat out what she had gleaned, and it was about an ephah of barley. She took it up and went into the city, and her mother-in-law saw what she had gleaned. She also took it out and gave Naomi what she had left after she was satisfied. Her mother-in-law then said to her, Where did you glean today, and where did you work? May he who took notice of you be blessed. So she told her mother-in-law with whom she had worked and said, The name of the man with whom I work today is Boaz. Naomi said to her daughter-in-law, May he be blessed of Yahweh, who has not forsaken his loving kindness to the living and to the dead. Then Naomi said to her, The man is our relative. He is one of our kinsman redeemers. Then Ruth the Moabitess said, Furthermore, he said to me, You should stay close to my young men until they have finished all my harvest. Naomi said to Ruth, her daughter-in-law, It is good, my daughter, that you go out with his young men, so that others do not oppress you in another field. So she stayed close by the young women of Boaz in order to glean until the end of the barley harvest and the wheat harvest. And she lived with her mother-in-law. Chapter 3. And then Naomi, her mother-in-law, said to her, My daughter, shall I not seek a state of rest for you, that it may be well with you? And now is not Boaz our kinsman, with whose young women you were? Behold, he is winnowing barley at the threshing floor tonight. So you shall wash yourself and anoint yourself and put on your best clothes, and you shall go down to the threshing floor. But do not make yourself known to the man until he has finished eating and drinking. Let it be that when he lies down, you shall know the place where he lies, and you shall go and uncover his feet and lie down. Then he will tell you what you shall do. She said to her, All that you say I will do. So she went down to the threshing floor and did according to all that her mother-in-law had commanded her. And Boaz ate and drank, and his heart was merry, and he went to lie down at the end of the heap of grain, and she came secretly and uncovered his feet and lay down. And then it happened in the middle of the night that the man was startled and bent forward, and behold, a woman was lying at his feet. And he said, Who are you? And she answered, I am Ruth, your maidservant. So spread your wing over your maidservant, for you are a kinsman redeemer. Then he said, May you be blessed of Yahweh, my daughter. You have shown your last loving kindness to be better than the first by not going after younger men, whether poor or rich. So now, my daughter, do not fear. All that you say I will do for you. For all my people within in the gates of the city know that you are a woman of excellence. But now it is true, I am a kinsman redeemer. However, there is a kinsman redeemer closer than I. Stay this night, and it will be in the morning that if he will redeem you, good, let him redeem you. But if he does not desire to redeem you, then I will redeem you as Yahweh lives. Lie down until morning." So she lay at his feet until morning and rose before one could recognize another. And he said, "Let it not be known that the woman came to the threshing floor." And he said, "Give me the cloak that is on you and hold it." So she held it, and he measured 6 measures of barley and placed it on her. Then she went into the city. Then she came to her mother-in-law, and she said, "How did it go, my daughter?" She told her all that the man had done for her. She said, "These 6 measures of barley he gave to me, for he said, 'Do not go to your mother-in-law empty.'" And then she said, "Sit then, my daughter, until you know that the matter falls into place. For the man will not remain quiet until he has finished the matter today." Chapter 4. Now Boaz went up to the gate and sat down there, and behold, the kinsman redeemer of whom Boaz spoke was passing by. So he said, "Turn aside, my fellow, sit down here." And he turned aside and sat down. Then he took 10 men of the elders of the city and said, "Sit down here." So they sat down. Then he said to the kinsman redeemer, "Naomi, who has come back from the fields of Moab, has to sell the portion of the field which belonged to our brother Elimelech. So I thought to uncover this matter in your hearing, saying, 'Acquire it before those who are sitting here and before the elders of my people. If you will redeem it, redeem it. But if no one redeems it, tell me that I may know, for there is no one but you to redeem it, and I am after you.' And he said, 'I will redeem it.' Then Boaz said, 'On the day you acquire the field from the hand of Naomi, you must also acquire Ruth the Moabitess, the widow of the one who has died, in order to raise up the name of the one who had died on behalf of his inheritance.' So the kinsman redeemer said, 'I cannot redeem it for myself, lest I ruin my own inheritance. You redeem my right of redemption for yourself, for I cannot redeem it.' Now this was the custom in former times in Israel concerning the right of redemption and the exchange of land to establish any matter. A man removed his sandal and gave it to another, and this was the manner of attestation in Israel. So the kinsman redeemer said to Boaz, 'Acquire this for yourself.' And he removed his sandal. Then Boaz said to the elders and all the people, 'You are witnesses today that I have acquired all that belonged to Elimelech and all that belonged to Chilion and Mahlon from the hand of Naomi. And also I have acquired Ruth the Moabitess, the widow of Mahlon, to be my wife in order to raise up the name of the one who had died on behalf of his inheritance, so that the name of the one who has died will not be cut off from his brothers or from the gate of his birthplace. You are witnesses today.' And all the people who were in the gate and the elders said, 'We are witnesses. May Yahweh grant the woman who is coming into your home to be like Rachel and Leah, both of whom built the house of Israel. And so you shall achieve excellence in Ephrathah, and shall proclaim your name in Bethlehem. Moreover, may your house be like the house of Perez, whom Tamar bore to Judah, through the seed which Yahweh will grant you by this young woman.' So Boaz took Ruth, and she became his wife. And he went into her, and Yahweh granted her conception, and she gave birth to a son. Then the women said to Naomi, 'Blessed is Yahweh, who has not left you without a kinsman redeemer today, and may his name be proclaimed in Israel. May he also be to you a restorer of your soul and the sustainer of your old age. For your daughter-in-law, who loves you and is better to you than 7 sons, has given birth to him.' Then Naomi took the child and put him on her bosom and became his nurse. The neighbor women gave him a name, saying, 'A son has been born to Naomi.' So they called him Obed. He is the father of Jesse, the father of David. Now these are the generations of Perez. Perez became the father of Hezron, and Hezron became the father of Ram, and Ram became the father of Amminadab, and Amminadab became the father of Nahshon, and Nahshon became the father of Salma, and Salmon became the father of Boaz, and Boaz became the father of Obed, and Obed became the father of Jesse, and Jesse became the father of David." There we go. All right. That's it for today. As far as our reading, we will pick up. Hey, there's a birthday girl. Good morning, Michelle. Happy birthday, sweetheart. We will pick up our reading tomorrow, Lord willing, in 1 Samuel chapter 1. 1 Samuel chapter 1. Yeah, Ruth is a wonderful book. a wonderful book, an amazing story. So happy birthday to Michelle. Michelle, there is someone in the chat room today who shares your birthday. David Bentley, a little further up in the chat there. David is Bill's brother, and David is a shamrock like yourself. All right. So yesterday, I got completely skunked out on the lake. Fished 2 different lakes, and got skunked. Got skunked. So, but I did do a little fishing of another kind yesterday. In fact, a couple of things on my way home from the second lake. There's a particular lake nearby, and the main road leading out toward the lake. I drive through a town and I pass some houses, and as I'm driving by, I always see a state patrol car parked in the driveway of a home. It's not unusual for officers in different parts of the country to take their patrol cars home. They might work in a rural area or have a particular assignment that requires them basically to be on call 24/7. And so that's not an unusual thing to see that. But of course, I always notice it as I'm driving to and from the lake. So I got this idea. I polished up my retirement badge. Grabbed a copy of Take Up the Shield and one of my business cards and the Police Lives Matter gospel tract. And I decided I was going to go stop by the house. Now, police officers are not real fond of strangers coming to their doors. I speak from experience. So I was ready. I had my badge. I was going to, tell them about my background, and so I went to the house. The unit wasn't there, so whoever in the family serves in law enforcement, they were on duty somewhere. But I had the book and I had a mind to do it, so I stopped anyways. And so I knocked on the door, and a young man answered the door, early teens, I would say younger than 15. And I asked, "Are either one of your parents home?" And he said no. And of course, he had kind of a reserved look on his face, like, who is this mustache that walked up to my door? And I said, "Hey, I'm a retired deputy sheriff out of California," and I showed him my badge, and you could see his countenance just kind of relax a little bit. And I said, "I always see the patrol car out here as I'm on my way out to the lake, and I stop for 2 reasons. One, to thank whoever in your family is in law enforcement, to thank them for the service, and 2, to give them this. I wrote this book a number of years ago for law enforcement, so I wanted to leave this with your mom or your dad, whoever is the officer." And he said, "Thank you." And I said, "God bless you." Got back in my car and I drove away. So my fishing trip wasn't a total bust because I got to get the gospel into the home of people I've never met and I may never meet again. I included my business card just in case the officer does decide to reach out to me and maybe continue the conversation. So I hope he reads the book, he or she reads the book. And if they're not followers of Christ, they would come to faith in Christ. So I did that. And then later this afternoon, thanks, Robin. God bless you too, sis. Later on yesterday afternoon, gorgeous day, warmest day of the year. I think officially got up to 72 degrees?
I think 71.
71. So over 70 degrees yesterday for the first time in 2022. So it was a short sleeve day, single layer. Got to break out my Tilly hat, and spring is here. Yes, Roxy is very comfortable. Aren't you, honey? Oh, I'm sorry. Did I bother? I'm sorry. Did I wake you up? And so I went out to Harrison and Locust, and the Lord blessed the time. Did get a couple of middle fingers and 4 hail Satans, all of which came from the usual demographic, which are white women ages 18 to 35. They are the vilest hecklers of any demographic. No, that doesn't include all women in that particular demographic, but the vilest, wickedest, most sexually explicit, profane, blasphemous hecklers I deal with on a regular basis are white women ages 18 to 35. That's the way it is. And what does that say about our world, huh? So, anyways, but people were overall in a good mood. I mean, the weather was nice. They could roll down their windows as they're driving down the street, and so the mood was certainly lighter overall out on the streets. Got to give away a number of gospel tracts there on the corner, which was great. And two ladies, Sandra and Alicia, pulled into the gas station, called me over, and the question they had for me was, "Am I a pastor? Am I a pastor?" I said, "No, I'm an evangelist sent out by my church." Asked them if they were from the area. They're from a town about a half hour southwest of us, right along the Mississippi, called Muscatine, and they looked Hispanic, maybe Native American, maybe a combination of both. They were both appropriately dressed, but wherever bare skin was, there were tattoos um, over, all parts of their body. And and I asked them if they had any particular spiritual beliefs. I believe it was Sandra who was the passenger and Alicia who was the driver. Sandra really didn't say too much. Alicia said that she believes in God, and and they were still kind of pretty quiet. It was like they weren't sure where to take the conversation, or even they may not have even been sure why it was that they stopped. It was one of those kind of contacts. It was like, hey, we should stop and talk to him, but what are we going to talk to him about? You know, I've run into people like that before, and so there was still they weren't cold, but there was still like ice that needed to be broken in the conversation. I gave them both gospel tracts. And I said, "Do you ladies have Bibles?" And they both shook their head. They don't have Bibles. And, hi, Tom. Outdoor Mishaps is Tom from Missouri. He follows me on my YouTube fishing channel. Um, so I ran back to the box, gave them both Bibles. They didn't have Bibles. And then I used this segue. Yeah, that could be it, Robin. That could be true. Maybe they were wondering what it is that I have to say. So I asked the question for them, and I've mentioned that I've started doing this lately. I said, ladies, many people see me out here on the street. They see me with a 5.5 foot tall cross, and they see me giving away Bibles, and they just assume I'm a Christian. And then I quickly let him off the hook and said, I am a Christian, but since you asked about me being a pastor, and since I've told you a little bit about my church, would it be all right if I took a couple of minutes and told you the message that I share with people out here, which is the same message you would hear in my church? Because I know looking for churches is hard, and you walk into the door of a church and you never know what you're going to get, and they're both like, yeah, they're in agreement now. They're nodding, and so they said, yeah, tell us. So that gave me the opportunity to proclaim the gospel to both of them, and to call them to repentance and faith, and to invite them to dinner last night at church. They did not come. Alicia did say, I'm going to check out your church. I do hear that somewhat regularly from people. And I think more often than not, it's just a politeness for someone to say that. Although people do come from time to time. And maybe we'll see Alicia and Sandra yet. Maybe we'll see them on a Sunday morning. So I decided yesterday that I wasn't going to take my video camera out. Just took my audio, my digital recorder. And so I have the audio from that conversation. And if the sound quality is okay, I'll probably post that on my sermon audio page, and I'll share the link with you tomorrow if I do that. Then shortly after that, I was on the corner there at Harrison and Locust, right there at the gas station where I'm usually standing, and I turned to see a young man walking toward me. He was wearing work garb. I could see based on his uniform. I could see his work truck there at the pump. He had stopped for gas, and he says, "You know, I don't have time to talk." And he points to his truck. So obviously, he's just stopped to get gas while he's working. He said, "I don't have time to talk, but I just want to let you know that I appreciate you being out here." Oh, well, thank you. Um, do you have any particular spiritual beliefs? Yeah, well, I'm pretty much agnostic. Um, but would you pray for me and my family? Most of my family's Catholic. So his name was Elijah, and so Elijah's not agnostic. There are no agnostics, just like there are no atheists. There are only people who suppress the truth that they know about God by their unrighteousness. That's what we read in Romans chapter 1. Um, but not only did I know that Elijah is not agnostic, Elijah knows that Elijah is not agnostic. When Elijah asked for prayer, I don't think it was because he was just trying to cover his bases. Well, just in case God exists, I'm going to have this religious old man on the street corner with a cross pray for me and my family. I don't think he was just trying to cover his bases. I think he realizes he has no real commitment to his agnosticism. Um, and so I gave him a gospel tract, and we talked just for a moment or two. I mean, the entirety of our conversation was probably a minute or less, because he was just stopping to get gas while he was working. So we went. He extended his hand. We went to shake hands. I thought he was just going to shake my hand, but he took my hand and he pulled me toward him, and he gave me a big hug. Gave me a big hug, and then walked away. So something's going on with Elijah. Something's going on with Elijah, and while he didn't have time for a conversation, I was able to put a paper missionary into his hand that will be able to do all of the work that I would have done had we had a conversation. Because the gospel is the power of God for salvation, not the vehicle in which that gospel is presented. So, so yeah, Patrick, you could have been feeling convicted, sure, and lots of people have stopped um, with various levels of conviction, and they've stopped to talk about their sin. And again, it's just another testimony to why I love this kind of ministry, which is just one form of biblical evangelism. It's not the form of biblical evangelism, but it is proven very, very fruitful in my community. As somewhere between probably 600 and 1,000 people now have stopped to have conversations with me over the last 5 years while I've been there on the various corners of my community. Oh, and I didn't get to share this with my Maria. And then a man named Doug stopped. Now, Doug works for a car dealership in town. He is basically a parts delivery person. He usually drives around in the dealership's van, and he's taking parts from one point to another. Doing that kind of work, delivery work, and what have you. And Doug and I have developed this friendship over the last year or two. Doug has stopped several times while he's working, when he's off work, just to chat. Doug says he has no spiritual beliefs of any kind, and is really kind of indifferent to all of that. I was able to put a gospel tract into his hand, but he has no real interest in having spiritual conversations. Um, he's kind of made that known, not in any kind of disrespectful way or anything like that. He's just kind of indifferent, just kind of indifferent. And so, but he stops on a regular basis to talk to me. And in one of our conversations not long ago, I discovered that he is a painter. And an interesting way he does it, he paints by numbers, but he has found this, what he was told by another artist is somewhat of an ancient technique of doing something with the paints and doing multiple coats where it doesn't look blotchy like, oh, fill in space number 2, fill in space number 3. It does not look, he's shown me many of his paintings, and they don't look like paint by number paints. They look like, you know, they look like Thomas Kincaid kind of paintings. And he's good at it. And so in one of our recent conversations, he showed me a bunch of the paintings. And I said, do you ever sell any of these? And he said, oh yeah, I've sold a couple to friends and paint them for friends. How long does it take you to do one of these? I said, probably about 60, 70 hours, depending on the of actual painting, 60 to 70 hours of actual painting. And Maria and I are fond of Adirondack chairs. We the best day for us is a couple of Adirondack chairs along a beach or a lake shoreline with our Bibles and something to drink and holding hands and reading and watching the water. I mean, that's heaven on earth for us. And so I told him about that, and he goes to a website and he's showing me a couple of these paint by numbers that have Adirondack chairs, and I picked one out and I said, do this one for us. I will pay you to do this one for us. And I already got a wall picked out for it and everything. And so he stopped yesterday to show me that he had started the painting and what colors he had done so far. And he's on, I think he said he's on color 6, and he does multiple layers of each color. And I'm not going to tell you how he does it, just in case that is like a proprietary thing for him. But he's done multiple layers of certain colors, and he's on color 8 of, I think, 35 or something like that. And the reason he stopped was I hope I'm not boring you with this, but the reason he stopped was there were a couple of spots in the painting where he said, there's these two petals from these flowers laying on this wooden deck, and they don't even look like petals. They just don't look right. Do you mind if I just can do away with those and continue the deck and do this? And I said, hey, Doug, you're the artist. You paint it the way you want to paint it. If you would want to hang it on your wall, I'm going to want to hang it on my wall. You have license to do whatever you want to make this painting original to you and beautiful to me. And can't wait to go home and tell Maria that you've started, and can't wait to get that up on the wall. Take your time. There's no rush. You do whatever you want to do with this piece of art. So that was pretty neat. And so I think that's a testament in part to being out in my community every day, kind of doing the same thing in the same places, that in some way I've kind of started to become a fixture in the community. And not quote unquote popular, because there are some people who heckle me every day, the same people, right? But people expect me to be there, to the point now, again, where people are stopping and saying, I see you all the time, and I've been meaning to stop, and today's the day, to being able to develop this friendship with Doug on the street corner, just because I'm there every day. So yeah. So Tom asks, oh, you have sermon audio? Yeah. If you're not familiar, in fact, here, give me a second. Give me a second here real quick. All right, so according to Sermon Audio, I have 583 audios on Sermon Audio. And here's the link. So that'll take you to my Sermon Audio page. I've got almost 600 audios on there of pulpit sermons, open air sermons, radio podcasts, one-on-one conversations, tons and tons of those. And I would say 90% or more of what's on Sermon Audio has never been on YouTube. They are, because there were times where I went a long time without using a video camera and just did audio. And so yeah, whenever I've been asked to preach in a church or a bunch of open air sermons, one-to-one conversations, things like that, there's another resource for you if it's easier for you to. Some people don't like YouTube at all. Some people won't go on YouTube. And so that's one of the reasons why I put together this Sermon Audio page years and years ago, because I wanted to get the gospel out to as many people as I could, encourage as many Christians as I could. So there's the link. So almost 600 audios. I mean, literally hundreds of hours of content, all evangelistic content. So if the videos encourage you, there's another resource for you. All right. So that's all I got for you. That's all I got. I'm waiting to hear back from this family in the church. Oh, let's see. Pastor wants to have coffee this morning. Okay. Give me a second here. And I've confirmed lunch with the birthday boy in our church, one of the members of my little chess team that I started. Tony, post the website. Okay. So. All right. Maria asked me to post a link to the website there, crossencountersmin.com, crossencountersmin.com. If you ever felt so inclined to donate, not to me, you're not making a donation to me, but to the work my church is doing in evangelism. And part of that work is sending me out. If you would want to partner in that work, just go to the partner link at the top of that homepage there, crossencountersmin.com. So whatever people give outside the church goes directly to the church, and the church uses those funds to support me and my family financially, and to buy Bibles, gospel tracts, signs, things like that. So. Yeah. All right. Okay. So that is it for today. Pastor's going to be coming over to the house, looks like, for some coffee. And that'll be nice. And then I'm going to take out young Caleb Cunningham out to dinner or lunch for his birthday. Got a special gift in mind for him. Something I'm not going to have to buy. So, all right. Hey, I love you guys. Hope you have a great day in the Lord. Tom, good to reconnect with you. Good to see you. And we're here every morning. Tom, we've been doing this for 6 years now, Monday through Saturday. We're in the midst of our 6th year of reading the Bible cover to cover together. And And so you're certainly, you and Michelle are certainly welcome to drop in when you want. And yeah, have a lovely day, Michelle. Have a wonderful birthday, darling. I thank God that He allows me to be your daddy. So y'all have a great day, and I'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow morning. Bye bye. Amy, good morning. All right.